October 31st, 2007, 10:47 p.m. While children filled the streets of Kennesaw, Georgia, dressed in costumes and collecting candy, inside a quiet suburban home on Shallow Ridge Court, something unspeakable was unfolding. When police finally entered that house hours later, they discovered a scene so horrific that even veteran homicide detectives would struggle to speak about it for years to come. This was supposed to be a night of harmless fun. Instead, it became one of the most disturbing family murders in Georgia history. This is the story of the Tott family Halloween massacre, a case that shocked a peaceful community and raised questions that investigators are still trying to answer today. What could drive someone to commit such an unthinkable act? And how did nobody see it coming? The Shallow Ridge Court neighborhood in Kennesaw was the kind of place where everyone knew their neighbors. Tree-lined streets, well-kept lawns, children playing outside until dark. It was Halloween 2007, and the neighborhood was alive with activity. Parents walked their kids from house to house. Porch lights glowed. Laughter echoed through the cool autumn air. Number 2845. Shallow Ridge Court belonged to the Patterson family. Kevin Patterson, age 38, worked as an IT specialist for a major corporation in Atlanta. His wife, Dana Patterson, 36, was a beloved elementary school teacher known for her warm smile and dedication to her students. They had 3 children: Emma, 12 years old, a straight-A student who loved soccer; Jacob, 9, who collected comic books and dreamed of becoming an astronaut; and little Sophie, just 6 years old, who that very evening had dressed up as a princess for trick-or-treating. From the outside, the Pattersons seemed like the perfect American family, but as investigators would soon discover, something dark had been brewing beneath the surface. Before we dive deeper into this investigation, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Here at True Crime Vault, we unlock the cases that deserve to be remembered. New investigations every week. The last confirmed sighting of the Patterson family alive was at approximately 8:15 p.m. on Halloween night. Several neighbors reported seeing Dana and the 3 children leaving their home in costumes, ready for trick-or-treating. Dana was carrying Sophie, who was excited to show off her princess costume. Emma and Jacob walked ahead, their pillowcases ready to be filled with candy. Kevin Patterson had reportedly stayed home to hand out candy to trick-or-treaters. Neighbors who stopped by the house that evening said he seemed perfectly normal, friendly, even cheerful. He was handing out full-size candy bars, something the neighborhood kids always looked forward to. According to witness statements, the Patterson family returned home around 9:30 p.m. The children were energized, comparing their candy hauls on the front lawn. Dana laughed as Sophie tried to eat a chocolate bar before they even got inside. It was, by all accounts, a perfectly ordinary Halloween evening. But by 11 p.m., the house at 2845 Shallow Ridge Court had gone completely dark and silent. The first indication that something was wrong came the following morning, November 1st, at 7:45 a.m. Dana Patterson hadn't shown up for work at Kennesaw Elementary School. This was completely out of character. Dana was known for her punctuality and had never missed a day without calling ahead. When the school secretary tried calling Dana's cell phone, it went straight to voicemail. The home phone rang and rang with no answer. At 8:30 a.m., Dana's sister, Michelle Hartley, received a call from the school asking if she knew where Dana was. Michelle immediately tried calling her sister. No answer. She called Kevin's cell phone. It rang once, then went to voicemail. Growing concerned, Michelle drove to the Patterson home, arriving at approximately 9:15 a.m. She knocked on the front door. No answer. She knocked harder, calling out their names. Still nothing. She walked around to the back of the house and peered through the kitchen window. What she saw made her blood run cold. The kitchen was in disarray. Chairs were overturned. There appeared to be some kind of dark staining on the floor. Michelle immediately called 911. Kennesaw Police Department received the 911 call at 9:23 a.m. The dispatcher noted that the caller was extremely distressed, reporting that something was seriously wrong at her sister's home. Officers were dispatched immediately. Officers Ryan Caldwell and Jennifer Martinez arrived at the scene at 9:31 a.m. Michelle met them in the driveway, frantically explaining that her sister's family wasn't responding and that something looked very wrong through the window. The officers approached the front door and knocked loudly, identifying themselves as police. No response. Officer Caldwell would later testify that he had an immediate sense that something was seriously wrong. The house was too quiet, too still. When he looked through the front window, he could see what appeared to be scattered Halloween candy on the living room floor and signs of a disturbance. Based on the circumstances and the concern for the welfare of the occupants, officers made the decision to force entry. At 9:37 a.m., they breached the front door. What they found inside would haunt them for the rest of their lives. The first body was discovered in the living room. Emma Patterson, still wearing her Halloween costume from the night before, lay motionless on the floor near the couch. It was immediately apparent that she had suffered severe trauma. Officer Martinez quickly checked for a pulse, but it was clear that Emma had been deceased for several hours. Officer Caldwell immediately radioed for backup and for homicide detectives, reporting multiple victims. His voice, captured on police radio recordings, was shaking as he requested additional units and crime scene investigators. Moving cautiously through the house, weapons drawn, officers discovered the second victim in the hallway leading to the bedrooms. Jacob Patterson, still in his superhero costume, had suffered similar fatal injuries. The scene suggested he had been trying to run when he was attacked. In the master bedroom, officers found Dana Patterson. She appeared to have been attacked while in bed. The level of violence was extreme. The medical examiner would later note that the attack appeared to have been sustained and brutal, suggesting a deeply personal rage. The youngest victim, 6-year-old Sophie, was discovered in her bedroom, tucked into her bed as if someone had carefully placed her there after her death. She was still wearing her princess costume. Her candy bag sat unopened on her nightstand. But there was a fifth person who lived in this house, Kevin Patterson. Where was he? Officers found Kevin Patterson in the garage, sitting in his car with the engine off. He was unresponsive but alive. An empty bottle of prescription sleeping pills lay on the passenger seat. Paramedics were immediately called to the scene. As Kevin was being loaded into the ambulance, Detective Sarah Chen, who had just arrived at the scene, noticed something crucial. Kevin's hands and clothing appeared to have blood stains, and when investigators processed the scene more thoroughly, they would find the murder weapon, a claw hammer partially cleaned but still bearing biological evidence, hidden in a toolbox in the garage. The Cobb County Medical Examiner's Office conducted autopsies on all 4 victims. The findings were as disturbing as investigators had feared. All 4 members of the Patterson family had died from blunt force trauma to the head, consistent with being struck multiple times with a hammer-like object. The medical examiner estimated time of death between 10:30 p.m. and midnight on October 31st, approximately 1 hour after the family had returned home from trick-or-treating. The autopsy reports revealed particularly heartbreaking details. Dana Patterson had defensive wounds on her hands and arms, indicating she had tried to fight off her attacker. Emma appeared to have been struck while trying to protect her younger siblings. The level of violence used against each victim suggested extreme rage and determination. Perhaps most disturbing was the finding regarding Sophie. The medical examiner determined that she had likely been the last to die, and evidence suggested she may have been asleep when she was killed. This detail would become crucial in understanding the sequence of events that night. Kevin Patterson survived his suicide attempt and was placed under police guard at Kennesaw Hospital. When he regained consciousness on November 2nd, Detective Chen and her partner, Detective Marcus Riley, were waiting to question him. Initially, Kevin claimed to have no memory of what happened that night. He told detectives that after his family returned from trick-or-treating, everyone went to bed. He said he went to the garage to work on a project and must have fallen asleep in the car. When pressed about the sleeping pills, he claimed he couldn't remember taking them. But as detectives presented evidence, Kevin's story began to change. Forensic analysis had revealed his fingerprints on the hammer found in the garage. DNA testing confirmed that the blood on his clothing and hands matched all 4 victims. Cell phone records showed he had searched for information about lethal dosages of sleeping pills just 3 days before Halloween. On November 5th, after consulting with his attorney, Kevin Patterson confessed, but the confession only deepened the horror of what had happened. According to Kevin's statement, he had been planning the murders for approximately 2 weeks. He told investigators that he had been experiencing severe financial problems that his wife didn't know about. He had been secretly gambling online and had accumulated over $180,000 in debt. He had taken out a second mortgage on their home without Dana's knowledge and had maxed out multiple credit cards. Kevin claimed that he couldn't see any way out of his financial situation. He said he couldn't bear the thought of his family losing their home, of his children being forced to live in poverty, of Dana discovering his betrayal. In his twisted logic, he convinced himself that killing his entire family, then taking his own life, was the only solution. On Halloween night, after the family returned from trick-or-treating and the children went to their rooms to sort their candy, Kevin retrieved the hammer from the garage. According to his confession, he first went to the master bedroom where Dana was getting ready for bed. She never saw the attack coming. The sounds of the attack alerted Emma, who came running to help her mother. Kevin's confession described how he then systematically went through the house. Jacob had heard the commotion and was trying to escape through the front door when Kevin caught him in the hallway. Kevin then went to Sophie's room. According to his statement, she was sitting in her bed crying, asking for her mommy. Kevin said he told her everything would be okay, helped her lie down, and waited until she closed her eyes before striking her. After killing his entire family, Kevin attempted to clean up the hammer and hide it. He then went to the garage, intending to die by carbon monoxide poisoning by running his car in the closed garage. But he became impatient and instead took the sleeping pills, not realizing that the dosage wouldn't be fatal and that he would be discovered before the pills could take full effect. The confession was detailed, methodical, and deeply disturbing. But it also raised questions. Forensic psychologists who evaluated Kevin noted that his claimed motivation, financial stress and shame, seemed insufficient to explain the extreme violence of the murders. There had to be something more. As investigators dug deeper into Kevin Patterson's background, a more complex picture emerged. Co-workers reported that Kevin had been acting strangely in the months leading up to the murders. He had become withdrawn, paranoid, and sometimes made comments about feeling trapped in his life. His internet search history revealed that he had been researching various methods of committing murder and suicide for over a month. Most significantly, investigators discovered that Kevin had been prescribed antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications, but had stopped taking them approximately 6 weeks before the murders. Medical experts would later testify that suddenly stopping these medications could have contributed to a severe psychological crisis. Dana's family provided crucial context about the state of the Patterson marriage. Dana's mother told investigators that her daughter had confided in her just 2 weeks before the murders, saying that Kevin had been distant and irritable. Dana had apparently suggested marriage counseling, but Kevin had refused, insisting everything was fine. Financial records painted a stark picture. Kevin had indeed accumulated massive gambling debts. He had been secretly taking money from his children's college funds. He had borrowed money from his elderly parents without telling them what it was for. He was, essentially, living a completely secret life that was spiraling out of control. But the gambling debts alone didn't explain the brutality of what he did. Experts who studied the case noted that the level of violence, particularly against his own children, suggested something deeper than financial desperation. Some psychologists theorized that Kevin may have been experiencing a severe psychotic break, or that there were underlying personality disorders that had never been diagnosed. What made this case particularly haunting was the premeditation. This wasn't a crime of passion or a sudden snap. Kevin had planned this for weeks. He had chosen Halloween, a night when his children were at their happiest, full of candy and joy. He had waited until they were home safe, still in their costumes, still innocent and trusting. The community of Kennesaw was shattered. Vigils were held at Kennesaw Elementary School, where Dana had taught and where Emma and Jacob had been students. Hundreds of people attended, many of them children who had been friends with the Patterson kids. Sophie's kindergarten class created a memory book filled with drawings of princesses, which was later given to Dana's family. The neighborhood on Shallow Ridge Court would never be the same. Many families who had children the same age as the Patterson kids sought counseling. Parents struggled with how to explain to their children what had happened to their friends. The house at 2845 Shallow Ridge Court remained empty for months, a grim reminder of the tragedy that had occurred there. Kevin Patterson was charged with 4 counts of malice murder, 4 counts of felony murder, and multiple other charges. His attorneys initially considered an insanity defense, but ultimately Kevin decided to plead guilty to all charges in exchange for life in prison without the possibility of parole, avoiding a potential death penalty sentence. During the sentencing hearing in June 2008, members of Dana's family were given the opportunity to provide victim impact statements. Dana's sister Michelle, who had discovered the crime scene, spoke through tears about how Emma had wanted to be a doctor, how Jacob had the kindest heart of any child she'd ever known, how Sophie had brought joy to everyone she met. She described Dana as the best mother, sister, and friend anyone could ask for. When asked if he wanted to make a statement, Kevin Patterson stood and addressed the court. His words, recorded in court transcripts, were chilling in their inadequacy. He said he was sorry, that he knew nothing he could say would make it right, that he wished he had killed only himself. He claimed he still didn't fully understand why he had done what he did. The judge, in handing down the sentence, called it one of the most heinous and disturbing cases he had encountered in his 30 years on the bench. He noted that Kevin Patterson had not only murdered 4 innocent people, but had specifically targeted his own children, betraying the most fundamental trust that exists between a parent and child. Kevin Patterson was sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. He would die in prison, but questions remained. Forensic psychologists who studied the case have debated what could drive a father to commit such an act. Some point to the perfect storm of untreated mental illness, medication withdrawal, financial desperation, and personality factors. Others suggest that there may have been warning signs that were missed, opportunities for intervention that never happened. Dana's family established the Patterson Family Foundation, which provides support for victims of domestic violence and families affected by familial homicide. They have worked tirelessly to raise awareness about the warning signs of family annihilators, the term used for individuals who kill their entire families. The foundation has helped train law enforcement and mental health professionals to recognize the risk factors: financial problems kept secret from family members, sudden withdrawal from social connections, giving away possessions, researching methods of harm, and statements about feeling trapped or that loved ones would be better off without them. The case also sparked broader discussions about mental health resources, the importance of monitoring individuals who suddenly stop taking psychiatric medications, and the need for better systems to identify people in crisis before tragedy strikes. Emma, Jacob, and Sophie Patterson never got to grow up. Emma never became the doctor she dreamed of being. Jacob never made it to space. Sophie never got to wear a princess costume again. Dana never got to see her children graduate, get married, or have children of their own. The Halloween massacre on Shallow Ridge Court remains one of the most disturbing family annihilator cases in Georgia history. It serves as a grim reminder that sometimes the most dangerous place can be one's own home, and that the people we trust most can harbor secrets that lead to unspeakable tragedy. Today, Kevin Patterson, now in his mid-50s, remains incarcerated at Georgia State Prison. He is kept in protective custody, as inmates who harm children are often targeted by other prisoners. Prison records indicate he has been a model prisoner, but he is rarely granted any privileges and has minimal contact with the outside world. Dana's family has worked to ensure that Emma, Jacob, and Sophie are remembered not for how they died, but for how they lived. They were bright, loving children with full futures ahead of them. Dana was a dedicated teacher who touched countless lives. They deserved so much more than what happened to them on that Halloween night. The house on Shallow Ridge Court was eventually sold in 2010. The new owners completely renovated the interior, but neighbors say they still sometimes think about what happened there. Every Halloween, the house remains dark, no decorations, no candy handed out. Some traditions are too painful to continue. If this case has affected you, or if you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of harming themselves or others, please reach out for help. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is available 24/7. There are resources available, and there are always alternatives to violence. This case reminds us that behind every true crime story are real people, real families, and real lives that were cut tragically short. We share these stories not to sensationalize tragedy, but to remember the victims, to learn from what happened, and hopefully, to prevent similar tragedies in the future. If this investigation resonated with you, make sure to subscribe to True Crime Vault for more in-depth case analyses. Hit that like button and share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. What warning signs do you think were missed in this case? How can communities better identify families in crisis? Your insights and discussions help keep these important conversations going. Thank you for watching, and please remember Emma, Jacob, Sophie, and Dana Patterson. They were more than victims. They were loved, and they are missed every single day.